Welcome in to another March to Match Day here at 92.9 The Game as we get ready for Atlanta United and the Chicago Fire this weekend. My name's Jason Longshore, and let's get caught up on everything in the Atlanta United universe from this week. To start, let's go back to BMO Field and recap Atlanta's 2-2 draw against Toronto, where they gave up a goal in second half stoppage time. Not the ideal result with the performance on hand. Let's hear from Gonzalo Pineda.
Frustrated, upset, second time on a row that we're winning, and then we concede goals, and we cannot reward ourselves with 3 points because I felt the team did enough to get the 3 points. But we couldn't finalize. That's where we need to learn. But very happy with other things. Very, very happy also with the pressure, the possession in certain moments, how we disrupt their pressure very well in many parts of the game. Matchups, first goal in MLS. So a lot of positives as well. It's just the sour taste in our mouths is because we lost 2 points in the last minute of the game.
I think you got a sense of the conflicted nature of the reaction to the result in Toronto from Gonzalo Pineda. Good things in the match, some very good things, but still giving up late goals in halves and giving up the goal that cost you 3 points against Toronto. A team that I think it's fair to say Atlanta United will probably feel like they should have picked up 6 points against this season, but only got 4. More on the reaction to that result from Atlanta United left back Andrew Gutman. He came on in the second half, replacing Caleb Wiley. Had a strong performance against Federico Bernardeschi. Here's Andrew Gutman with how the team has responded this week to that result.
Yeah, I think it's one of those situations where when we came into the locker room, it felt like a loss. We were all pissed off. I think it's something that we have to take as the next step as a team. We have to go into away games getting points because we're good enough. We're one of the better teams in the league. I truly believe that, and we don't want to go into away games thinking, oh, let's just get out of here with the draw. No, we want 3 points, and we want to win our way and also win convincingly. So it was tough for us. We're all pissed off, but we have another opportunity to get 3 points in Chicago. A couple of results go our way as well, we could go top of the league. So we got to kind of just keep moving forward. It's a long season.
Let's get Gonzalo Pineda's take on how this week has gone in training as the team tries to shake off that result in Toronto and prepare to get 3 points and maybe regain more points at home against Chicago. Here's Gonzalo Pineda after training on Friday.
They're hungry, and not just the guys that play, but also the guys that didn't play. I see a lot of competition. Probably that's what is in the back of my head, is there's a lot of competition. Everybody shows well in the training sessions. It's hard to tell at times who are the starters, who are not. It's really hard. You play possession games and everyone does great, and that's a blessing. That's something great that we are doing here, that the players are buying to that idea. So they are reflecting very, very good.
One part of the team that we've seen increased competition for minutes has been in the attacking group. Yorgos Yakimakis did have to leave early in the second half in Toronto with an injury. He's listed as day-to-day as we publish March to Match Day this week. Derek Etienne has come into the lineup. Caleb Wiley can play as a winger. But Machop Chol is maybe the player who has elevated himself the most over the past month or so. Playing as a winger, we've seen him as a number 9 in preseason. In this match in Toronto, Gonzalo Pineda brought him in as a 10. Here's Santiago Sosa talking about what Chol gave the team in the midfield, followed by Pineda discussing the decision about playing Chol as a 10.
Obviamente Matchup tiene otras características en cuanto a juego, que a ver, él lo puede hacer tanto delantero como de extremo o volante. Obviamente quizás él al ser un atacante más, su juego es más ofensivo. Con Mate sabíamos que teníamos que resguardarnos un poco más. Y bueno, bien, porque obviamente al entrar Sol de Cambio nos da más aire, le da más aire al equipo, y eso creo que ayuda.
I think Chop is a player who can play in a variety of those attacking positions, as a midfielder, as a winger, as a forward. So he has different characteristics. So I think when he went in, we knew that we had to, to be aware and to play based off of that and his skills. But he's a player who, when he comes on, he can provide a lot of space and good movement on the field.
Yeah, that's a very good question because before the preseason started, I had a conversation with Matchup on his true position because we've been using him as a winger. I heard that he used to play also as a 9. In certain sessions last year, I used him as a 10, probably more out of necessity. And then I saw a little bit of what you saw the last game against Toronto. And yeah, we had this agreement that he can perform in multiple positions. 10 is one of those that in specific games can give us some change of pace from that position, but also adding a little bit more dynamism to our midfield. So it's a guy that is going to be physical, is going to chase at pace, is going to dribble at pace. Once we break the first and the second line of pressure, he goes at people with a lot of speed. So it's someone that can give us something different out of that position. He's goal dangerous, even though it's his first goal. We've seen multiple great goals that he scored in the training session. So I think he's goal dangerous, and he has that sniff for being dangerous in the final third. So it's a different profile maybe, but it's something that we know Matchup can provide to the team.
Up next on March to Match Day, a couple of clips from Atlanta United winger Derek Etienne. Etienne was not healthy when preseason started. He has worked his way into a starting position with this team and has added a lot of verticality into the group, but also that defensive work rate that he is known for. Here's Derek Etienne talking about his expectations of the team and if they're meeting those so far, and also his reflections on playing for his national team, Haiti, during the last international window, and what's coming up this summer, a big opportunity for Haiti in the CONCACAF Gold Cup.
I felt that we were a good team. I think we've shown that. Disappointed with a couple of results, but that's something that shows how good of a team we are, that we're able to go on the road, get a point, and be upset about it. You know how difficult it is going on the road. I've been on teams that haven't won on the road and stuff like that, so I think that just shows the mentality of the group. Of course, we want to get maximum points, so we felt that 4 points was dropped against Toronto, 2 points against New York City, but we definitely want to continue in the way we're playing, getting chances. Now it's just more being clinical and then being good in both boxes, first 5 minutes, last 5 minutes of each half. Oh, went well. Was able to get a goal and an assist in 2 games, was able to rest for the second game, and then being able to qualify for Group A in the Gold Cup is something that's, I mean, people will say it's big, but for us it's a standard. So now we just focus on these matches here, and then Gold Cup have a difficult group. So making sure, hopefully, that God willing, everyone stays fit and we're able to go in there and just compete.
We like to hear from the opposition on March to Match Day. This week, Ezra Hendrickson spoke to the media in Chicago, and the first clip from Hendrickson is a little bit of an overview of the Chicago Fire season so far in 2023, plus his expectations of facing Atlanta United. And second, Ezra Hendrickson talking about his star striker, Kai Kamara, the veteran, and what he brings to this club, not just with his goals on the field, but off the field as well. Here's Chicago Fire manager Ezra Hendrickson.
Okay, so the season has started really well for us. We at a point where we feel like we're playing well, but we can do better. Better in the sense of finish out games a little stronger, and that has to do a little bit with the mentality side of things. Just being, tougher once we get up on a 2-goal lead with teams. I think a couple of times, especially at home, we've let teams come back in the games. We haven't lost at home, but we feel like a couple of those ties should have been wins for us. Shaq is eligible for selection. He's in training full, so there's a possibility he'll be on the pitch on Saturday. As far as Almada, it's just about he's a good player. It's about always knowing where he is on the pitch. He has that freedom to kind of pop up wherever he sees fit. So we just have to make sure as a team the communication is there and that we know where he's at all times, because he makes the game for him. And I expect that he will be on the pitch this weekend. So if he is, we'll be prepared. Well, we've seen what he can do on the field, and it's something that he's shown all his years in the league. So we know about that. But off the field, he's a leader for us. He is a leader in the locker room. Like you said, we have a lot of young players that, he's always talking to, he's always encouraging, and he's just a good guy. He's a good person to have, especially when you have, young players such as like the Gutis and the Javier and Casas and guys like that, Misa Rodriguez, Victor Becerra, he's a guy that really, puts their arm around those guys. And, you always see him talking to them. Guti calls him grandpa, because, that's a sign of respect. It's someone that's kind of been there, done that. And so off the field, he's, an extension to the coaching staff as far as what he does in the locker room and helping, on the field with the players, especially the young ones.
Thank you to the Chicago Fire and Ezra Hendrickson. Thank you to Gonzalo Pineda for speaking to the media this week, along with Santiago Sosa, Derek Etienne, Andrew Gutman. That's your recap of everything that has happened this week in the Atlanta United universe. Match day is on Sunday. What to watch for in this one, in my opinion anyway? One, I think the performances of Brooks Lennon have gone completely underrated, or maybe just not mentioned enough. I think his last couple of games for Atlanta United, he's been, if not the best right back in Major League Soccer, right there in that conversation. You have to remember this was a player who, going into last season, went into the January camp with the U.S. men's national team, had an injury in the middle of that, and that's why he came back to Atlanta United, and it took him a minute in preseason to get going. But this isn't the first time that Brooks Lennon has played at this level. I think he's found an even higher level than we've seen previously in an Atlanta United shirt. He's that important, and it's not just the getting forward part of it and putting in crosses, which is what we know him for, creating chances, putting in dangerous crosses, good on set pieces. He's cutting inside more. He's getting on his left foot a little bit more, showing danger there. But it's been the 1v1 defending. You go back to the game against New York City where he really kept Tylis Magno in check, who is one of the best dribblers in Major League Soccer. And then last week when Lorenzo Insigne comes into the match, he kept Insigne in check. And I think the final goal for Toronto comes down to a moment where late in that game, Lennon had shut down Insigne so much, he drops away from the play. Now, what that did is it did drag Lennon forward and it created space. That's not all on Lennon, for example, here. Lennon was dealing with the matchup that he had, and I thought he won that matchup. But because Insigne is a crafty player, dragged Lennon further out, the spacing didn't get recovered for Atlanta United, and Toronto exploited it. It's a good goal to get that point. Atlanta's got to learn from that. They've got to learn late in matches sometimes maybe drop off a little bit. Don't be quite as aggressive. They've got to be just a little more cagey in those moments of the match, and I feel like it's coming. I think the Toronto game was an opportunity to make a statement. Look, it wasn't made. I think Atlanta's a very good team. Are they an elite team? Not yet. I think an elite team sees that game out. But they're heading in that direction. And this is an opportunity at home against Chicago in a winnable home game against a good opponent who's only lost once this year. This is an opportunity to bounce back and pick up 3 points. How does Atlanta do that? Well, we don't know what the attack's going to look like just yet. Yorgos Yakimakis did not train on Wednesday. He was part of training on Friday. Is he ready to go 30, 45, 60, 90, what does it look like? It sounds like the potential injury to his hamstring is not quite as bad as initially feared, so that's a good sign. I would expect he's available, but for how much, we just don't know. Does that mean Miguel Berry or Machop Chol starts up top? And there's other options here too. You can go with Tyler Wolff. You can go with Eric Lopez, who has been very good for Atlanta United too as of late. You could go with somebody like Luis Araujo cutting inside. and playing as a 9. You've got a lot of different options. I think Mitchell Chol has put himself into this conversation for Gonzalo Pineda and might get the reward of a start if Yorgos Yakimakis is not able to. I know there's a lot of questions about Thiago Almada and his availability. He was a full participant in training all week as far as I could tell. I think he's going to be just fine to go here. Can he go 90? That part we don't know yet. But can he start? I would think so in this one, and getting him back in is important. Franco Ibarra also back available for selection, dealing with pain from that tackle with James Sands that ultimately saw Ibarra red carded. It's a heavy collision between the two of them, going for a 50-50 ball that was tipped away, honestly, accidentally by Sands, and both were injured because of the contact from it. So it's really dealing with the pain threshold of it. Ibarra was part of training all week, and if he's ready to go, he could come back into the 6, or Santiago Sosa could continue as the 6. He was very good, I think, after the opening 5-10 minutes in Toronto. I thought he knocked some of the rust off and looked like the Santi Sosa that we've come to know here in Atlanta. So, Gonzalo Pineda's got questions in the team selection this week. He's also got solutions off the bench for what happens next as the game goes on. I think the big key for Atlanta United is finding those opportunities to switch the point of attack. Feels like they've looked their best this season, whether it was the Chol goal in Toronto, whether it was the Yakimakis goal at home against Portland after a couple of big switches. Where Atlanta United can switch the point of attack, whether it's the fullbacks going side to side, the wingers going side to side, the central midfield, Marcedic, Mateus Hosechu, Franco Ibarra, Santiago Sosa, switching side to side. Thiago Almada can do that as well. Those switches are what opens the team up, and Atlanta's been very good at doing that this season and picking their spots. That will be key against the Chicago team that's not easy to break down. Ezra Hendrickson, I think, has corrected some of the mistakes that we saw from Chicago last year. This is a much more difficult team to beat. Can Atlanta do it? Yes. Should they do it? Yes, in my opinion. It's no slight on Chicago, but this is the kind of game that Atlanta United at home at Mercedes-Benz Stadium needs to win to be in that elite class. And I think you heard it from Andrew Gutman, you heard it from Derek Etienne, you've heard it all year from Gonzalo Pineda. This is a team that has high expectations of itself, and they should. And now is when you need to deliver on that. I think they've delivered so far this year to a point. This is an opportunity to get 3 points at home, and Atlanta United has to take it against a quality opponent in Chicago. Once again, broadcast plans, Star 94 this week, 4 o'clock, 5 Stripes countdown. 4:55 is your kickoff time. You can watch on Apple TV, MLS Season Pass. You can choose the audio to listen to Mike Conti and I on the call. You can also watch in Spanish on MLS Season Pass. You can also watch in Spanish on TV on Fox Deportes. You can also watch in English on TV on FS1. All kinds of ways to consume this game. And then I'll be back on Monday night at 11 p.m. for Atlanta Soccer Tonight to break everything down. Thanks for hanging out with me on March to Matchday. We'll see you at the Benz, or we will be talking to you on Star 94.